Where am I live? Am I live on this? My channel? No, not YouTube Studio. We are live. Wait, can I hear myself? My channel? Where did it go? Where did my stream go? No, not YouTube Studio. There we go. All right. Test, test, test. Where did it go? Where did my stream go? No, not YouTube Studio. Wait, let me talk. There we go. How do I? Where's my mic? Oh, I gotta probably raise my mic. Raise, talk. Talk, talk, talk. Should be good, right? Test, test, test. Where did it go? All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the test stream. You might hear an echo for a second. YouTube Studio. Wait, let me talk. There we go. How do I? Where's my mic? Oh, I gotta probably raise my mic. Raise, talk. Talk, talk, talk. Should be good, right? Test, test, test. All right, I think we're good. I think we're good. Let's close the door. All right. All right. This is a test stream. We will definitely be having it more organized in the future. This is a test stream. We'll definitely be having it more organized in the future. And we're going to start this consistently because I definitely want to start streaming with some type of community because I feel like that is the best thing to do. Yeah, I feel like that's the best thing to do. Got to make sure is everything good? Live chat replay. Cancel. Let's see. Boom. Wait. I feel like I'm messing something up. Setup, stream. Okay. Done. Let's see. All right. It is what it is. All right. We're going to stream for probably just 20 minutes. Yeah, we're definitely having it more organized and scheduled in the future. This is literally just a test, so probably just like 20 minutes to see, how everything is, how everything sounds. Yeah, I want to be building an engaging community. We're definitely going to be doing it at a set time every single day. Maybe the weekends we might readjust the time, but overall, right, we're going to be doing this with Facecam. We're going to be looking over the markets. We're going to be talking about news that comes out. We could be reviewing coins together, and then just a whole bunch of other things. And yeah, we will see. We will see. I just don't like one thing how I don't like how the fact that I have to do it from OBS and not necessarily from YouTube themselves. Connect streaming software. So yeah, because I need to see this because yeah, let's see. But yeah, we're gonna go over the charts for a little bit, and then we are going to practically maybe go over some news, and then like I said, we're going to start everything up once again. I want to build an engaging community, and yeah, this was our best call, Zbeck. I'm going to be doing way more calls starting next week because man, let me tell you, right? I did not really like the idea of doing calls for coins, really when everything was dumping. Could have already started a couple weeks ago, which is why I actually pulled the trigger on ZBAC because I knew just based off structure, everything I saw about this coin, like in terms of structure, everything I seen about this coin was just beautiful. It genuinely was. I mean, we were consolidating for almost a year of pure consolidation, right? Generally speaking, from this range to this range. And then I just knew when I saw this big break of structure, this big weekly candle, I mean, we closed all the way up here, right? We closed up here, make the line thicker because I actually made it thin for something else before, but we're actually going to make it thicker once again. Yeah, we're going to make it like this thick. So yeah, we can see we had this close over here, which was a higher, this weekly candle was a higher high than this high over here. And I was like, okay, then of course I did a lot of research on the project to make sure that, you know, I'm not just buying to anything, right? Because structure looked great, just needed to confirm. Saw this coin was actually really, really good. What they wanted to do with the future and just the concept of this coin. And I was like, I'm in. I know this coin is going to pump. Um, you know, it would be the ultimate fake out to believe otherwise. And then I saw this weekly candle. I saw the way this weekly candle closed, which is practically the way it closed. It was like, sure, at one point it went lower, but we can see if we actually take this candle's high, right? This candle's weekly high, this blue one, and we compare it to where the bottom of the black candle was, the black candle is actually above this in terms of close. I'm like, all right, this is it. This is confirmation. So then, yeah, it was around like the 10th. It was around the 10th that I bought in. I remember I think it was like 0.0018 practically. A member in the community showed his profits on the 23rd, and it was up 80%, which would make sense if we bought somewhere here. And by the time we got to the 23rd, bro was already up 80 something percent. Um, yeah, he was up 80%. It was like the 23rd or the 24th. If we actually do this correctly, it was like somewhere here. And then, yeah, Friday was happening, right? It was this candle, it was this 4 hour candle, I remember. So he was up like 80%. So we literally bought around that 0.0018 area. And then, I mean, it just continued to absolutely, go up, right? There was no confirmation of any downtrend, any selling pressure, any break of structure. Everything was temporary, right? There was weaknesses and moments over here, right? Because we could see just in terms of the 4 hour candle closes, we had this high and then we had this lower high, and then this low over here got broken, right? We can see how it just kind of went down, forming a lower low. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, when we looked at the higher time frames and the closings, right? We're like, okay, there's just one selling candle. I would have to see how the next daily candle closes, right? Because if the next daily candle actually closed below this area, then that would confirm on the daily that, hey, we are most likely going to be actually going back down, right? We can see even in the past, right, when we had daily candles close over here, right, when it went back up, it closed lower. It closed lower than this area, right? So you just literally have to look at it for what it is. You don't need to overcomplicate technical analysis, which a lot of people do. And then, yeah, we just went flying. Like we literally just started to fly. And then the next day was also heavy pumps. And we can see, we have been selling off, but the daily candles have been really, really weak. Now, I took some profits already in the community. I called that, hey, guys, in the private community, I called, I'm taking profits. I don't know the exact price. It was somewhere over here, more or less, because I remember I was up around 3.5 times, maybe a little bit more, maybe just a little bit more, but 3.5 times would have been somewhere like boom. Yeah, somewhere over here. So somewhere over here. I was up like 3.5 times, maybe just a little bit more. And I was like, well, this is very, very simple, right? If I'm up 3.5 times on a project that just had massive pumps, yes, although this coin can still pump up a little bit before it gets a big correction, if I turned $100, right, or just do something very, very simple, $100 into $350, right? Now, if I aim for a 10x with this money, which is more than possible, right? It's more than possible to get a 10x in these market conditions with altcoins. Then ultimately, if I do cash out for a 10x, I'm going to make 3,500, right? So in the end, I actually turned my $100 into 3,500, which is a 35 times amount, right? That's a lot. But, for me to make 35 times off my initial position off this token, it would require a lot, right? If we actually go and use a measuring tool, we can go see, if we go take the price range was something like I said over here, somewhere around the 10th, right? Around this area. Actually, no, I don't want price range. Oh, I do want price range. Oops, sorry, because I've been used to using the date range a lot. So if we go here and we actually just keep going up, right? 35 times is going to be 3,400 gains. So 3,400 is the percentage. So we can see somewhere over here, right? Look, I mean, right, I would have to double check with this coin with the market cap. I think it's going to reach, but you can tell more or less, right? It is a very long journey away. It is a very, very long journey away. And it is easier to, cash out my 3.5 times money and then just simply dip, right? Oh, yeah, we're doing lives. Yeah, we are testing. We're testing things out. Today's a test. Tomorrow we're starting live streams until I leave for Austin, and then we're probably gonna stop a little bit, and then we're gonna continue streams probably at the end of the June. So really want to start streaming. What are your thoughts on Nitro? I really think it will pull a turbo. The dev is super genuine. I'll have to look into it. We are doing live streams now. Hell yeah, we are. This is just a test, right? So we see. Can you turn up your mic? I can barely hear you in my car. My volume is maxed out. So yeah, see, this is perfect, right? So mic is not high enough, which we will turn up higher. We'll do this, yeah, because I know my audio settings are fairly low for the most part because I do have to turn up my audio settings in the CapCut. I just need to find the perfect balance between, you guys not hearing everything and getting your ears destroyed and just me being able to talk. So might have to buy a pop filter as well because like I said, so hopefully it sounds better because I'm not listening to myself right now, so I can't necessarily know. But yeah, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are just simply talking about how I was just talking about how I, called out Zbeck just a couple of days ago, and I cashed out practically for 3.5 times my money. I sold most of my position for this coin yesterday. It's not that I don't believe in this project anymore, but I was just simply talking about ratios, right? Ratios are something a lot of people overlook, right? Just, if you make 5 times your money, right? Let's just say you make $100 and you make 5 times on it, right? And then, right, based off a nice pump of a coin. And then you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to cash this out, right? That's $500. And there's this other project, let's say HBAR, that looks amazing, or Ondo or whatever. And then you make another 5x, right? You actually make a total of 25x, right? And the probability of making 2 5x's is much easier than making 1 times 25x. So yeah, please stop investing in poo coins. Jeezy, wait, Jeezy, why is your name the one this time and not Jeezy? Did you switch it? Jeezy, you are absolutely hilarious, man. You come on, you comment on the videos every day. Well, like Turbo mainly, and you always poo on Turbo, but like there's literally no reason to poo on Turbo. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we're talking about ratios here. So it's easier to hit 2 5-time gain potentials than 1 25x. Even just in terms of cycles, right? Even in terms of cycles, if you hit 10x this cycle and then you hit another 10x next cycle, you made 100x. So if you actually invested 10,000, cashed out 100,000, you're like, I'm not touching this, I'm only reinvesting. If you put that 100,000 in, get another 10x within the 2 cycle period, which is, let's just say 8 to 10 years, because I think the cycles are going to be longer now. Right, within a 10-year period, you could just make $1 million from $10,000 just simply by, compounding, right? Going for a simple amount of gains, taking it out, resetting, and then boom, right? And then boom. Dude, look, the big ones, the big coins are the ones that will run different times. Look, everyone's saying different times, but everyone always says this every cycle. I'm actually like last time around, people also said this about altcoins, and then they went absolutely nuclear, right? Look, obviously, I want you to be wrong, and I think you are going to be wrong because of the data, but in the event you're right, I mean, a lot of people are going to lose money. But Yeah, the data just suggests we will be doing well. Well, I totally called out that you would show up. Nitro is to what's your thoughts on Brock? Are these like deck screener coins? I would have to look over this. I'm gonna put this on my second monitor. Brock. Brock. Talking about this coin. That's one of them. What's the other one that you guys are talking about in the chat? There was the Nitro. Nitro. Mm, uh, uh, uh. Well, here's the thing. I am going to be looking to be sniping coins, so I'm not necessarily going to say I'm going to do research right now, this very second, because this is more of a test stream. But if Nitro, let's say Brock, hypothetically, are very, very promising, no scam, no nothing, then you know what, this might be a coin that we might have to look over, call out. And yeah, we'll see. But obviously, I need to do the research. I know this week is probably going to be the last red week, and most likely, in terms of next week, we are looking at, manipulation for Monday and Tuesday. Like if we go and look, right? If we go and look, and we actually compare this to global liquidity real quick, I think I'm gonna have to remove the indicator and then re-add it in the future if I want the colors to be. Oh wait, you know what? Red. Let's do red this time. I keep switching my colors up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh. So yeah. So we can see, right? Every time we hit the top of global liquidity, that was the last weekly candle, and then instantly the week after, we swept these highs, right? We swept these highs over here. We went up a couple thousand, and then we slammed down. But then something I noticed too yesterday was when we actually take the bottom, right? It was the last sell candle, but in the beginning of the week, we still went down lower. So I do expect a sweep, right? No matter, I didn't, we'll see how tomorrow closes. Sunday still might sell off, right? There's nothing convincing about this buy candle at this current moment. All right, so I do expect it to sell off, and I do believe all this manipulation is practically, it's practically looking to set up for a big, big, big dump temporarily, right? Temporarily. I will say though, right, based off the structure, right, there's a lot of liquidity setting up. We can see a lot of liquidity is being set up, which is on purpose, right? They do this on purpose. So a lot of retail traders trade a certain way. They positions themselves a certain way. The structures are a certain way so that they could recover very quickly. Uh, uh, uh. Isn't this Nitro? This is Nitro, right? This is what you're talking about. This is what you guys are talking about. No, Nitro. Yeah, but see this. They said last cycle is not the same as this cycle. Last cycle ago. That's what they said. I don't invest in Shiba or Doge because those are meme coins that have such high market cap that in terms of potential return, it's like just in terms of market cap, like even if the world went crazy with market cap, like if you wanted a 10x on Doge, that would have to hit almost 300 million or yeah, no, 300 billion market cap. So, the probability of that is not that high. And it's just better for me to invest in a real project than a meme coin that's, you know, already that high. Same thing with Sheep, right? Sheep wants to hit a 10x. What do you mean look at Nitro on the year? Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it only has a wait, there's no yearly candle for this. I mean, like I said, I'll deep dive into it. Um, we are usually historically after big pumps, you usually get some type of like consolidation movement. I'm not saying this is going to be the literal price. We could probably see something like this before another rally. I agree. What's a good price target on those? I see you. So you're a turbo hater. Um, I mean, we'll talk about Doge and Shiba. I don't really. I'm never gonna cover this in my YouTube videos or Discord, so I don't mind doing it. You know, even for the number one turbo hater, the one that's dedicated to always pooping on turbo in the comments, I will look up Doge for you. And just in terms of structure, I'll go based on structure first and possible market cap. Uh, uh, uh. Mm. How are we closing on the 3 month? Okay, so we are technically creating higher highs, higher lows on the 3 month. 6 month, yeah, 6 month. I mean, the 6 month is the exact same thing, right? This is where it closed. We technically closed here, so it is looking good. It is looking good. Technically, Sheep can actually even or Doge can even close down here, and it would still be considered a higher low because this is the last 6 month candle. Um, 3 month, like I said, 3 month is looking good. Despite this candle being a little weak right now, we still have the whole June to go. So we have this low, this. It's just simple fundamentals. Sorry if it's not really in full detail right now. Um, well, I think at the bare minimum, like the bare minimum, should be sweeping these highs. Should be. I think Doge heading to 73 cents should be the bare minimum. Uh, I mean, yeah, Doge and Sheep are dinosaur coins. The thing is, some of these dinosaur coins, they're going to still do well. They're still going to do well, but it's just about ratios in terms of how much money you want to make. You know, like the XRPs. I mean, the XRP already proven itself. Like the light coins and stuff. They're still gonna have decent pumps because those coins have so much data. Even though some of these are literally dinosaur coins and they're not really, you know, the best in terms of the fundamentals and all this other stuff. The reality is, it's like there is still so much liquidity to be swept. And a lot of like old investors like investing in coins and projects that they are comfortable with, you know? Like Litecoin, you know, I'm sure back in 2013 and maybe even like 2017, you know, there was some type of next level promises like, wow, this is going to be the future. But ultimately, it's kind of just whatever now, even maybe less or even worse than whatever. But we can see last cycle, it swept, right? It was classic manipulation. And then let me guess, some bank candles, right? If you guys know about certain candles or have seen me, you know, talk about this, you know, bank institutional candles. So, you know, something like Litecoin is also going to have a decent pump at the bare minimum, probably going to get to like 226, like bare minimum. But like, it would not surprise me that if we would see Litecoin sweep these highs again, you know, get to like 440, 450, and then dump again. Just because there's going to be a lot of money, just because a lot of this is just institutional and just in terms of everything and the manipulation. So it would not surprise me. Like yeah, it's a dinosaur coin, some of these, but man, oh man, manipulation, market makers, exchanges, big money, they don't care. They don't care. Like for them, it's like if I can make a 3x, if I can make a 5x, I can make a 10x, you know, for these big whales. If I can make, you know, if my $1 billion can become $2 billion, that's all they care about. So you gotta remember that. Uh, 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 30 to 50 cents. I'm pretty sure that's pretty high for Turbo in terms of market cap. Wait, 50 cents would be still like 100x from here. That would be 4 billion. No, oops, that's volume. Yeah, that'd be 30 billion. 30 billion for 43 cents. The like that's why like my personal prediction is like if we are gonna hit some next levels, it's probably like 15 to 20 cents. Um, I obviously want this altcoin season to be the most diabolically insane like altcoin season ever, like or just markets in general. Like I would love for us to go to, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 trillion total market cap. um but yeah, obviously obviously I always prefer to play it more conservative, realistic, whatever you want to call it, and then just readjust my game plan, right? Like I've been telling people like in the Discord and stuff, and even before with certain other coins, like if there's no reason, if structure does not break, then I'm not selling. So like let's say hypothetically, whatever, things pump up crazy, all right, until I see some type of break, like maybe on the weekly, right? Like something last cycle, not even last cycle, but last time around that I kind of ignored and made a mistake was seeing these lower highs on these weekly candles, right? Because we could see the way it printed, we had these highs over here, but then the last like candles were closing here, multiple weeks of rejection. So that was like on me. That was on me. But the next time I see this, the next time I see anything like this, right, I am going to be selling. Plus, obviously, we're going to be following global liquidity and everything. So the problem is the whales move into the big top 50 coins and then low cap coins fall big. Yeah, I mean everything trickles down, right? It usually comes from Bitcoin, Ethereum to the top 10 coins to then like, the top 50 and then lower. Um, you have to remember usually these coins like Turbo, other coins, right? Like let's just say Turbo. I mean, literally, this applies for literally like all the coins, but we'll use this for like Turbo too. These coins usually have a prime of 4 weeks, right? A prime of 4 weeks. That is just the reality. If we go to what's a great coin? Oh, like I just use XRP. I always love using XRP. So like we could see if we go on the weekly, right? Back in 2017, I'm going to use multiple examples of this. Right, we usually have a peak of 4 weeks. One huge weekly pump, two, three, four, and then within like 3 to 5 weeks, it already went back down to, it killed like 80% of its gains, right? This time around, last time XRP had, lots of struggles. So when it actually went up to an area, guess what? It went up to an institutional area. We can see, right? That's the furthest XRP went. It was getting suppressed by the news. We can see when everything started to go well for XRP and Trump won, etc. One, two, three, four green pumps, right? In this context, sure, it went up a little bit higher, but historically, it kind of doesn't. Off the top of my head, something like Filecoin, right? If we look at Filecoin, when Filecoin was in its peak, right? Filecoin is in its peak. Guess what? Just lasts about 4 weeks, right? One, two, three, four. So the same thing is going to happen to something like Turbo. Um, Turbo. It's going to happen to practically like 85 to 95% of coins where, they start climbing up for, let's say, 1 to 2 months when Bitcoin dominance starts breaking, right? When Bitcoin dominance starts to break, um, like we can see when Bitcoin dominance started to break here, they get some type of pumps and then they build up for a couple of weeks for the big final dump. Like, well, the dump for Bitcoin dominance, and then those coins experience like that 4 week pump, euphoria. And that's when coins can go from, you know, like Turbo, if something plays out very, very similar, right? Turbo can be like what? Right now, let's say that 300 million market cap. It can go from 300 million market cap to 2 billion. And then from 2 billion, it can go to 20 billion within a 4 week period. And then within 2 weeks, it'll go back down to 7 billion market cap. Like, because that's how they get you, right? They go pump, 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 pump. And then the whale starts selling off. People start selling off. And that's practically the shift from the end of altcoin season to practically bear season. Now, I get it that there could be a double pump in a couple of months, but that's also never guaranteed. So, which is why I'm really, really focused on selling the first time around, right? Because the second time is never promised, especially that I do believe, based off the data I've seen, the videos and education I looked at, I do believe there's going to be a very big recession, probably in 2026. Um, where things just blow up. And then that's probably gonna be like the most prime buying opportunity of all time. Like we may go from making a lot of money from crypto to everything getting blown up within like a span of a couple months to then having like some of the best prime buying opportunities for the next 10 to 15 years again. Why do you think coins are down 70? Oh wait. Whoa, what's happening? What's happening? Uh 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 Minutes market since 2012. I am with some of the biggest whales I know this inside out, buddy. I sold the top of sheep before it dumped. You're not a whale, bro. Da da da. Come on. Let's see. Thank you, Isa, for the nice comment. I know exactly how the markets works. While everyone was holding, I dumped the top. I knew Bitcoin dominance never topped. Well, yeah, we talked about this before that Bitcoin dominance never topped. But I know a lot of people. My channel was also much smaller, early December to mid December, practically. It was much smaller. I grew like a crazy amount during that time, and then, like after that time too. And I also know sometimes people don't listen to more than like the first 2 minutes of the videos. So, mm, mm, mm. What is this the end of alt season? No, no. I'm saying when alt season happens, it's practically when you enter bear season, pretty much. And it's like, yeah, sometimes there could be a double pump, but that's never guaranteed. You would have to readjust your game plan. Is Turbo multi-cycle coin? Um, Probably, but you're not gonna want to hold it for a whole cycle. You gotta remember, you know, even though Turbo is great, lots of things can change in many years. People are going to look for the next 20 million market cap coin to 2 billion, right? People are going to look for 100x's. It's one of those coins that you know you would it would be worth possibly the reinvestment after you sold your initial bag, right? After you sold your initial bag, you don't want to be like, oh well, Turbo's gonna do this, but I'm not gonna sell because I know hypothetically Turbo in let's just say 4 to 6 years can go like this, right? Even higher, because you would make much more money like selling somewhere here, rebuying somewhere here, and then reselling again here than you would just if you held your initial bag, Oh, black also Pepe dumped faster than it gained. I mean that's just like how meme coins are though. It's a double-edged sword, which is why usually when you see, the markets dump, like let's say Bitcoin drops 5%, a lot of altcoins drop like whatever, 12 to 16%, but then you see like meme coins drop like 22, 25% because it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah, I personally believe this is going to be the biggest altcoin season yet. I know a lot of people are kind of like being iffy on altcoin season, but like nothing suggested that we were going to have an altcoin season yet, right? The closest thing we had was this, but at the time I was saying, hey, we are just simply retesting off monthly candles, right? Monthly candles, right? Going to a monthly big support. Even this. Let me get this red thing out of here. Even this order block here, by obviously how June closed, it still ended up being bullish. And then when we went to the weekly time frame, if you really wanted confirmation that we were going to be starting altcoin season, you would have had to see, right? Because you can see how the lows are getting lower, the highs are getting higher, and what you would have had to see is something go like this and then slam down. But we never got that, right? And we anticipated before this even played out that we weren't going to get that, because we've been on it talking about this channel, like, or on this channel for like, oh my god, words are hard right now. We've been talking about this point and key area on this channel for like months now, like as probably even still in 2024 we're talking about this. In fact, probably when I had like 50 subscribers I mentioned this, because this is where I believe we were going to top out super early on. So you know a lot of people thought altcoin season was going to happen in 2024. I never believed that. Did I believe, altcoins would hold a little stronger, right? Like, let's say if altcoins, went up like this much in 2024, did I think, we would hold a little stronger and go steadily up, be decently up? Yeah, I didn't think we're going to be like back down here, right? but I did know that's definitely not altcoin season 2024. Because nothing suggested it, right? We have to see a huge break, right? Well, like who cares about the micro moves? We practically have to go up like this and then slam back down and then go sideways and then slam, right? We practically need to see this big first slam like the way we had here. We also need to see a recovery on the others chart, which we've been talking about for also many, many months, where I anticipated for us to go here because, right, we can see last time was the same thing. It was holding, it looked weak, it slams quickly for like 2 to 3 weeks. Within 2 to 3 weeks, it recovers. It's already back above this structure. And then we can see, right, for the next couple of months, it was just history with altcoins, right? And I expect the same thing. So if you're going to want a lot of confirmation, like a lot, we're going to have to see this go down, a quick recovery, closes above this, and then that's when I could say like 100% that we are going to have altcoin season sooner than later. Mm-mm-mm. Uh, Andrew, most the money. Wait, who's Andrew? Who's Andrew? Andrew. Andrew. Well, Andrew, most of the money is going to Bitcoin. See, you think my name is Andrew? My name is not Andrew. Black by 2026. Turbo will be back down 99. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Most coins will literally be back down like 98 to 99.9% of their value from the altcoin season top, which is why you don't want to hold it. Even if a coin was a multi-cycle coin, it's why you do not want to hold it for the next cycle, because you just waited years not to cash out, and now you have to wait years for the whole process to come again. And then who knows if at that point you're going to cash out, right? Like it's just better. Everything's just better to, it's just always better to cash out. And like I said before, right? If you make 10x this cycle, like if you turn 10,000 into 100,000, and then let's say hypothetically you even just reinvest. Actually, let's just say for simplicity's sake, you reinvest this whole 100,000 during bear season or when there's early signs or whatever, or like let's say you actually wait for proper altcoin season confirmations. Like you could literally turn, you can literally get a 10x very soon. Like people that didn't buy altcoins for the last year, you know, they can snipe very good entries from now and possibly over the next few weeks. And within a couple month span, they can make a 10x. So, but let's just say, like, to keep it simple, like you made 10,000 to 100,000, and then next cycle you put in 100,000 and you aim for 10x, you know, you'll make 1 million. But if you skip out on cashing out this cycle and then you cash out next cycle, I mean, even if your coin went 3 times higher than the previous high, and let's say you caught the literal previous high, you would make $300,000, right? Because you made it went 3 times higher than what you would have initially sold last cycle. But then you're still down 700,000 because you just would have made way more money. You just would have made way more money cashing out this cycle, reinvesting next cycle, which is that's why it's you cannot be a bag holder. You never want to be a bag holder. Never missed your technical analysis. Your thoughts on turbo bull market top. Thank you, thank you. Your thoughts on turbo bull market top. Like, what do you mean? Like, where turbo's gonna end up? I think it's likely we hit like 15 billion. It really, it just, there's certain circumstances and things I'm looking at to really know if we're gonna hit like a 6 to 7 trillion market cap cycle, or we're gonna hit like 12 trillion, for example, because that extra amount of trillion in market cap is gonna be the difference between, you know, a coin going to 15 billion and a coin going to 25 billion, for example, right? Like you don't, there's a few things. If all the data suggests that, hey, this cycle might be end up a dud or not that good, and we might be able to cash out only like, I don't know, 3, 5, 10, 15x. I mean, that's still crazy numbers to think about, right? But it's not going to be a 50x, not going to be 100x. Then it is what it is, right? If the data says this, then we just simply have to follow data, right? I don't follow like headlines like this tariff, that. That's just usually a bunch of noise. But if there was serious things like interest rates start going up, again, they start easing with the money, like everything is just going against what we want, then we can't ignore the data. And, like I said, altcoin season is going to be much weaker. It's still going to be an altcoin season. Even if somebody like Kamala won, I still would have believed there would have been some type of cycle. Um, it just wouldn't have been nearly as strong under Trump. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of iffy with him now. If we're just, I'm not talking about like actual American politics, just simply about crypto. Like in terms of crypto, like this is like everyone's loving him, right? Like literally, like he's pro crypto, America's pro crypto. All these unbans, all these regulations that are like whatever causing us some issues. Pro this, pro this, pro this. Other countries are jumping the bandwagon, right? America says go, other countries follow. Like that's just simple how it is, right? But then I know some people are also like not happy with certain things, like the tariff thing mainly, right? The up and down consistent battles. But you got to remember, this is a chess game. Politics are a game of chess. Okay, it's a game of bluffing. It's like it's like a poker game too. It's like you could view it as a poker game, you could view it as a chess game. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's strategy behind it. How certain words, the timing of words. Oh yeah, the markets are dying, blah 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 blah. And then guess what? Like all the great news comes out 4 or 5 weeks later, and then we're just back to normal. Like literally back to normal. If we go to S&P 500, right? So many people are like, oh, it's over. It's over. But like, if you literally think about it, this is a simple yearly retest. Is it a coincidence? Look, is it a coincidence that all the bad news and everything turned around at this time where we retested off the yearly top, right? Is it a coincidence? That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't really fall for these headlines. I'm sure out of like there's going to be certain headlines that are going to be more important technical analysis and that are going to be really valuable, especially for a specific coin. If it's like the owner said, we're going to go for 1 million tokens to 50 million tokens. I mean, that's going to be inflation. Investors are going to go out, whatever, right? I'm just giving some next level hypothetical example, right? But those are the only headlines you really want to be paying attention to are for your specific crypto, just to see if no BS is happening and like some next level economic news that's like, oh no, like we are actually going to a recession. The charts say recession. Every single data piece says recession, even though we're at the literal tops. And then people are like, no, we're going to go higher. Like if everything is pointing at recession in terms of analysis, in terms of news, in terms of, whatever sources we can use that are very like, have been proven time and time again, then I'm listening to that, right? I'm listening to that. But this was just all noise. It really, really was. And even just in terms of global liquidity, right? Global liquidity was already recovering much, much faster than this, right? It was really recovering much faster. So it was just kind of like a bait. Like global liquidity, like these settings are literally godlike. Let's see, I don't think that's actually that perfect here. Well, 91 days as the bottom, but where's the top might be a little funny. Well, crypto and S&P 500 are always going to be a little different. Is this one going to have 91 days? No. See? 91 days is already here. So it's a little different with crypto. We know that it's proven for 91 days, right? We talked about it multiple times. But with S&P 500, I might have to tweak the settings to get the perfect ones, right? Boom, 91-day delay. 91-day delay. I mean, like, this top 91 days, this pullback 91 days, and then we have boom, pumps. So I expect this to be a fake out, and I expect things to pump. Yeah, I think everyone has a different view of what being financially free is, but if we're talking about, I mean, it's practically going to be the same thing for me, because I believe to be really like financial. I don't know what you guys, everyone has a different thing. Like, honestly, if you have like let's just say 700,000 in the bank. I mean, you are pretty financially free, right? You are pretty financially free if you, just as long as you don't blow your money. But if we're talking about like true financial freedom, where it's like you could honestly kind of retire and never look back, and let's just say you don't blow your money like crazy, like there's, I feel like, a certain amount of millions you need, right? Not including inflation and obviously all this other BS that could be happening, but um right, like just there's a couple like millions in my head that I think like, okay, yeah, if I hit this, I'm pretty sure I could be set for life. Because for example, like me, my lifestyle, like I'm sacrificing a lot in terms of lifestyle. um like where I'm living right now, how much like what I do. Like my only money I spend is practically if I go out with my friends and pay like the bare minimum for my bills. You know, I could be like living in an apartment right now. I could be doing other stuff, but I'm not. Like right now, I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm going all out for crypto. Like I said before in my videos, I'm like 99% of my net worth plus is probably in crypto, and that's a risk I'm willing to take. That's a risk I'm willing to take. It could be a lot of pressure on somebody. They might call you crazy for doing that, but when you succeed, it goes from crazy to genius. The narrative always flips, right? Oh no, don't do this. It's dangerous. Blah blah blah. I mean, it's not even just about investing, just anything in life, right? If you go down a path that's already controversial, not your ordinary path, not your ordinary risk, not your ordinary lifestyle, people are gonna be like, no, that's crazy. That's not good until it works out. And then once it works out, they're like, wait, bro, you're a genius. And then people that don't know this story, they'll be like, wow, this guy's actually just a genius. That's just how I'm 25 at the moment. I am 25. For me, you know, you'll make big money if you have big money in crypto. I mean, yeah, but truthfully, like, I mean, depending on the timing, like if you invest like 30,000 this cycle, right? This cycle, like let's say altcoin season, let's say things go fairly well, you could definitely get like a 10 to 20x easily, right? I always just use 10x as like, because people don't realize how crazy a 10x truly is because of how crazy crypto can be. But like seriously, if you hit like even like a 20x from 30K to 600K, and then all you're aiming for next cycle is a 10x, and let's say you reinvest 500,000, right? So you keep 100,000, you reinvest 500,000. That 500,000 turns to 5 million within, let's say, 10 years. Just from pure crypto, you made millions of dollars, and that's not even accounting anything else you do, whether it's your 9 to 5 job, whether it is, let's just say trading, business, YouTube, entrepreneurship, drop shipping, some kind of maybe like being a social media influencer. Maybe you do some, I don't know, next level things, right? That's not even counting like any money you're making throughout those next 10 years. That's purely just reinvesting what you initially put in 10 years ago. So at that point, you can already be maybe a 6-figure earner by the time the 10 years comes around. Maybe you're already making 200K a year, 300K, 500K, and then this extra, that $5 million, just that extra push. And then, they just say usually making your first million's the hardest. And as long as you're just not a dummy, I guess, in the most respectful way, making that million to 10 million is much easier, they say. So yeah, and like I said, as long as you just don't blow it on dumb stuff, live for in the moment, think you could afford, you make $1 million, think you afford a hotel for a whole week for 30,000, and just spend it in the most, foolish ways. You really should be set up, right? You really should be set up in just 10 years time, purely from crypto, not even counting anything else. Oh. Look, there's something I found yesterday, which will probably end the video, or not even the video. Well, I'll probably end the stream here. Um, wait, from that first big green candle of a parabolic base, both Shiba and Doge did 10x last cycle. So given the number of coins, I don't see Turbo doing more than a 10x from that point. Oh, you're talking about like Turbo's highs? Is that what you're talking about? Let's see. Like from here. So what? That would be around 15 cents, which is what? Is that what we were saying? That's a realistic price prediction for Turbo? 15 cents would be like a little bit more than 30x. Okay, wait. Okay. Let's remove the indicator. Let's remove the drawing. Talking about like from this phase, practically, somewhere over here. Talking about like when it starts to really pump for that month. Because if you're talking, okay, if you're talking about this, right? Right. If you're talking about this, insane phase we had for those 4 weeks, you have to realize that we're not even at this phase. We're not even at this phase. We're not even at this phase. We are down here for Turbo, right? Because the Bitcoin dominance now hasn't broke. When Bitcoin dominance started to break, that's when altcoins saw a pump. That's when altcoins saw a pump. And then when the Bitcoin dominance went sideways for a couple of weeks before it crashed like 20 or 30%, that was this point. And then the real altcoin season, which is usually like the 4 weeks I say, is this. But we're not even at this point. We're not even at this. We're like down here at these little micro candles. And I'm not saying Turbo's gonna go from here to here and hit a like 600x. Problem that you have the cycle has, yeah, but actually I'm gonna give credit to No BS Crypto, because I actually saw it from him. I don't really watch crypto YouTubers, but I don't know. One day I was just eating food and then it was just recommended his channel. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna click it because I'm curious to see what he says, because I'm not afraid to see other people's perspectives, opinions, or even data. So I looked, and that video was actually about, yes, there's a lot more coins, but in terms of the actual coins that practically have real value, right? I'm not wording it the best, but have real value. There was only an additional like 300 something coins added. So yeah, there was a lot of like crappy coins, but the ones that actually make it and become relevant, there's only like 300 additional coins. So the ratio from coins added to how much money we expect this cycle is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, well, I'm not saying your coin will. It depends on the coin, on the project, and everything, right? But practically, like, yeah, we are down here. We still haven't had the Bitcoin dominance, go down. We saw it, right? When Bitcoin dominance baited a lot of people, when Bitcoin dominance went about down 6.5%, something like render went up, from its like 420 price all the way to like 1170. And that was just with like a 6.5% dump. Right? So that's what I'm saying. When we expect the charts to go upwards of 70%, and then dump, most likely, between 47 and 40%. So we expect it to dump at least like 30% on average, maybe 35, 40%. Like, you got to realize, like, if we were carrying the same ratios where render You know, we're gonna overflate the numbers just by a little bit, but if render went up from $4 to $12 practically, with like a 6.5, 7% drop, and we expect the drop to be 5 or 6 times the amount, right? So if that's the case, then you'd practically do $12 render times 5 or 6, and then you can get like a decent prediction, which would indicate that render could hit easily $60 to upwards of like 75 or something. And obviously, it's not literally going to be the same ratio every single time, but it just shows to you how, you know, a couple percent dominance being dropped off just boosted render like 3 times the amount practically. So when we drop like the 40% dominance in total over a span of 4 months, and it's a lot of the dominance is going to mainly drop off during those 4 to 6 weeks, then yeah, of course, we're going to expect altcoins to just go nuclear. And that's when you have to really be emotionally stable, look at the data and realize, okay, like it going nuclear means this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for, right? And that's when you have to really let go of the emotion, like the value you see in terms of money, because I don't know, everyone has a different amount, but you might see your portfolio, let's say, be like at 500,000, let's say. Like, let's say you invested a good amount, you have see at 500,000, and the next day might be at 460,000. But the technical analysis suggests that, hey, you should take this 460,000 because we are going to be really crashing over the next few days, and within the next few weeks, we're practically done for. If you get too emotionally attached to that $40,000 difference, then that might be the difference between you cashing out this cycle and potentially not, because a lot of people get self-destructed. I had a friend who invested in a stock at a very low amount, right? At a very, very low amount, many years ago. Many years ago. It was actually Zom. Wait, Zom, just Zom like this. Are they even still here? Oh yeah. Oh my god. Okay, Zom. Zom is this one. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Oh wow. Yeah. So he was investing in this coin, like, I remember, yeah, it was like December time. He was already investing like at 15 cents, 20 cents. He started to go up, so he still like bought in at like a 40, 60, and then he, you know, he was risking less, but he already also bought more like at a 90 cents to a dollar. And then he just simply could not accept the fact that he didn't cash out near the top. And even though when it was some type of recovery, he's seen a higher balance at his portfolio, right? Because he saw it, he was looking at his portfolio every single day, multiple times a day. So whatever amount of money he made, like I think he said his cat like had around like 15,000 profit here. But even when he saw like 12, 13,000 profit that day, he just couldn't accept that fact. And then you could literally see a couple of weeks later, you know, altcoins would crash faster, but a couple of weeks later it was down a lot. And he just kind of said no, he's not going to cash out. And then I don't remember. I think he cashed out for break even, maybe made a few small $100, maybe even lost money. I don't know, because he was acting a little weird with it. He said he kind of broke even, but yeah, he just, you know, he imploded. He became self-destructive. There was still thousands of dollars of profit on the table. He didn't take it. He didn't take it because he saw a higher amount. Uh, yeah, well, most coins are crap and only the top 200. Yeah, usually the top 200, maybe 250 will practically get like the piece of the pie. I'm already being generous, but usually the top 200. They only talk about the big coins from last cycle. Yeah, a lot of people, you guys got to realize, a lot of people still do not know a lot about crypto. A lot of people still don't know your average price about Bitcoin. The Bitcoin's literally at its all-time high, and no one cares. Last time Bitcoin was at its all-time high at 60K, everyone cared. Now it's like 2 times higher, and no one cares. It just shows you that you guys are already making the right choices. Mm-mm. Well, be more conservative mentally. Be more conservative mentally, because if you expect a certain amount of gains and you don't hit it, and then all the data suggesting we're going to reverse, there is that chance that you might self sabotage, right? Or you got to remember, if God gave you a button that says, hey, you can make, let's say, 15 times this cycle, 13 times, 22 times, maybe 50 times. I don't know. Everyone has a different coin, different positions at different times, right? But let's say God said you can turn 10,000 to 91,000 this cycle, or 130,000, or whatever the number is. It's still a great amount. Like, let's just say God said you could turn this 10,000 to 131,000 and $320. Would you take it? Of course you would. Of course you would. But this thing is, you might see that number in the moment and you might not cash it out because you saw 140 grand. You saw an extra 9 grand you could have made, 8.5 to 9 grand you could have made. But you are just like, no, I need that extra thousand. I need an extra couple of thousand. I am going to ignore the data. I'm going to pray it goes up. And you know, sometimes that prayer does work, because maybe when it dipped, you actually still had one more week of a pump left, right? And then it goes up, maybe you do cash out the moment, or maybe you make an extra couple of grand and you do cash that out. But for a lot of people, because once they see their portfolios go crazy, they look at it every single day, like every hour. And I would not put it past them. You know, we're probably gonna be streaming a lot. We're gonna be on the charts a lot. We're gonna be inside the house a lot, because let me tell you, when it is going to be close to altcoin season or during altcoin season, my eyes are glued on the screen. My eyes are going to be glued on the damn screen, because I'm going to be looking at the data 24/7. 24/7, because we, you know, I say we as a community, we got to make sure we cash out. I want to cash out near the top. It doesn't have to be the literal top, right? It doesn't have to be, but I'm going to try to use analysis, technical analysis, as much as possible, right? If the emotions start taking over too much, where I know we're in like the 3 or 4 week period, and I'm like, dude, I just know it's only going to be like maybe a 10 or 15% more gain possibility, then you know what? I'm a human day, whatever. Screw that extra 10% I could potentially make. I don't care. I made a lot of money. You guys make a lot of money, you know? So that's the whole point. Me, you guys, our families, they have to eat this cycle. So I'm going to be glued. I'm going to be glued 24/7 for like those 2 months. Content's going to be pumping, right? We might go from 3 videos to 4 videos a day. We might be doing 2 to 3 hour live streams. Engagement's going to be at the all-time high. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. We're going to be so chronically online and at home, but we're not going to care, because our bags are going to be getting pumped. And people, dog, turbo, null mark structure or whatever. It seems that the coins in the first cycle do the best. So yeah, big coins from the last cycle outperforming new hyped coins. Hyped coins, as we see, pumped and then dumped to top coins on top. Yeah, I believe something like XRP held really well, but XRP is like the bank coin. Once I got the green light, I mean, XRP is also going to have one more big pump. It's probably going to hit upwards of $10, like that $8 to $10 range. Where's XRP? Where is it? Am I tripping? Boom. There you go. All right. Because it's going to consolidate. It's going to consolidate. All right. It's consolidating right now. Right. We're going to go down, and then we're going to have the recovery. And then again, most likely like 4 weeks of a great pump. And like I said, right, which is great for XRP holders, because if you did buy somewhere down here, like let's say 50 cents, and you still at $7, damn, you know, you made a good amount. You made a good amount. You made a good amount of money, even though you probably, like, if you were sneaky beaky, right? If you bought around 50 cents, sold around $3 or 250, let's say 250 for easy numbers, you made a 5x. That 5x you buy into other coins that can still 10 to 20x, right? That would be like a 50 to 100x, you know, gains just from the initial money put into these coins. Jasmine, Oh, let's go on crypto. I had the zones marked out. Oh my god, I'm so thirsty. I gotta drink some water in a second. In terms of pure news from Jasmine activity, I do want to see more activity on their Twitter. I don't really like when pages go too inactive, but I think I already, like I said, believe technical analysis is king. Uh, Technical analysis is king, but having activity on your main page, some type of update and stuff. Maybe they have like a Telegram. I don't follow the coins that I don't hold. I don't follow them like 24/7, right? So yeah, I don't do that 24/7. I also do need to change my feed a little bit. It's too much like politics and people arguing and stuff, which I don't really care because it's mostly like American stuff, which I'm not even American. It doesn't like this person said that, that person said this. Like who really cares? Who really cares, man? We're just here to have fun and make some money. Am I right? But yeah, I think Jasmine at the bare minimum will be going to the institutional candle. We are gonna wrap things up very very soon. Jasmine, I could see this coin, hitting like an 8x minimum. Being very very honest, I do think Jasmine will sweep the last high of like 32 cents. So 20x from here. But let's see. Uh Sniper base and all you're saying, is it because you experience um I experienced the last two cycles. So first cycle was getting wrecked. Last cycle, between those two cycles, was learning, some ignorance, um some other stuff, some hard lessons. Still made some money. Still made some money, but yeah, so practically first cycle was a big fat L in terms of actual money, but many lessons. Then there are also many lessons, right? There are also many lessons and things to be learned from this in terms of analysis, in terms of cycles, in terms of other stuff. Then there were also some lessons during this period, but there was money made. Could have been a good amount of more money made, but like I said, some lessons. Also, my problem here was being ignorant towards crypto, um, not being fully committed the way I should have been, right? Because this was like more like missing out on money in terms of this lesson. It was like missing out because I remember I put some money in crypto and stuff, but I put a lot more in like gold and silver. And it's like, yeah, gold made me like 20%. Sure, silver doubled, but it wasn't like Ethereum going from like $120 to thousands, right? So yeah. So some money was made from this cycle, and then in that moment when, I caught some nice flips and bags. Um, and then yeah, and then it just kind of like after that point, practically most of the lessons have been learned from here, and then here was just, and then this side was more about sharpening everything. Like I remember, and I have an Instagram story of this on my personal account. I I The moment I saw this, I was like, yeah, Bitcoin's bullish again. Bitcoin's bullish. It started to go up, and I just like started to buy a lot of positions. I started to buy a lot, a lot, a lot. Um, because you know, yeah. So I have a story on my personal account. Probably share one day as proof of anything. But yeah, and then after this point, a lot. I was just kind of waiting. Learning some stuff, mainly focusing on trading. And then I was like, the end of 2023, 2024. I'm like, it's time to start going on social media, putting myself out there. And then yeah, it's practically the channel was born once we were in January, something like that. And then I think beginning of March was when we kind of fully committed to making like one video a day, to eventually two, then back to one, and then now we're practically doing three. So yeah. So yeah, I have experiences from other cycles. Um a lot of experience also gained from just from trading, that the help with the cycles. And yeah, that's practically it. The final thing we are going to end off on, ladies and gentlemen, right? I will also make sure these streams are going to be like pretty structured, so we always have something to talk about, and we're going to have a little bit of like a loose type of you know environment, especially maybe towards the end of the streams. But this is something I really wanted to point out, which is very important. So just pay attention for just one more second. So something I noticed potentially, right? And this is just hypothetical. This is not confirmed, right? If I can line this up perfectly, more or less, we can see, let's see, I need the bottom liquidity practically be here. Then I need it to be like this. Okay. Okay, so this is actually really good. So we can see, right? We can see when we literally line up the bottom of the global liquidity to the bottom closing candle, we can see it's like perfect. And then there's a little like manipulation. I can't really like zoom in or anything. Does this mess it up? Yeah, this messes it up. I can't zoom it in. I might be able to do this. Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna have to like live with it. Oh wow, even when I do that, okay. So yeah, so we can see, right, the top closes perfectly, the bottom closes perfectly. We have a little like wicks, right? So we could potentially see a manipulation down to around 100,000. Usually the wicks are around 2 to 3K, so we might see 97K, 98K manipulation on Monday or Tuesday. But this may suggest, right, if we do follow global liquidity to the T, this may really suggest Bitcoin being between 144 and 147,000 by the time July happens. So we're going to see if this theory is true, right? We're going to see if this theory is true, because right now the global liquidity is lined up perfectly with my Bitcoin, right? Like literally perfectly. So if things are still going to be perfect, right? If things are still going to be perfect, then we should expect 144K Bitcoin to 147K by mid-July. And, we have a pump. So we'll see how this slow top is going to be 91 days in June 9th. So June 9th, right? So it's about like 1 to 2 weeks from now. According to this, if it is going to be true, then we may see 126-ish K Bitcoin. 126K Bitcoin potentially in 2 weeks. So we'll see, right? 2 to 2.5 weeks, we'll see if we hit 126K, upwards of 128K. So remember this theory. For the few of you that are here, right, we'll still make a YouTube video, still talk about it. But yeah. Yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. I'm gonna go. This is just a test stream. We'll do more of these in the future. Usually there will be probably between 30 minutes to an hour, until later on. Then maybe, once we start building a bigger community, bigger news comes out, bigger this, bigger that, then maybe we'll go up towards 2 hours. But yeah, that is it. Hope you guys did enjoy this stream. Always appreciate if you guys like, leave a comment, do whatever. Yeah, love you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next stream. Goodbye.